Welcome to a new episode of IB Today podcast, Let's Talk. This is your host, Mohammad Afan, and today we have a special episode celebrating social enterprises and women entrepreneurs. So, we have a special guest for this initiative. We have Azima Dhanjee, an alumni of IBA. And Azima, how are you?
I am good. How are you?
I'm great. Azima is also the delegate of National Youth Council and also an initiative by Prime Minister Imran Khan, a recipient of Diana Awards. Her efforts are mentioned in the Forbes magazine and many other publications. Her company, Connect Here, has
Yes.
been received the Standard Chartered Women in Tech Competition Award as well, and she has also been the Pasha ICT Awards as well. So, you know, how has it been? Like it's a roller coaster journey that you have achieved so much in such a short time.
No, Alhamdulillah. It's been a difficult journey, but like you mentioned, there has been a lot of moments of pride, a lot of moments of happiness. You really feel good when you're working hard towards a goal with your team and it's getting recognized. So truly, Alhamdulillah for that.
Right. So Azima, let's talk with your company Connect Here.
Okay.
So let's introduce our audience. Okay, what is Connect Here?
Of course. No, first of all, Afan, thank you so much for calling in. Being an IB alumni, it's like such a happy moment to just, come back to your university and, work with your fellow colleagues, fellow students. So Connect Here is a social enterprise that I started with my friends 4 years ago. And the reason why I started Connect Here was I wanted something to happen for the deaf community in Pakistan. Belonging to a deaf family myself and having deaf parents, I really felt the need, the gap that there was in the society, how the deaf people were dependent on others and how the community weren't focusing on them. So, that's why with my friends, I started Connect Here, and the focus of our company at the moment is to ensure there's communication and information accessibility for the deaf community, which means that a deaf person should never be afraid of walking into a space or being a part of an event just because there's a communication barrier. So that's the focus of Connect Here, and we do it with multiple ways, multiple services, multiple projects that I'd love to talk about later in the interview.
Right. So Connect Here is a huge revolution for the deaf community. So what inspired you to you talked about you have being part of a deaf family. So was that the only inspiration when you started Connect Here?
Yeah, I think that's such a good question. Everyone asked me why you started it, but nobody asked me if that was the only reason. So I started it because of my family, of course. I always knew that how my parents were neglected in the society. I always knew how my parents being so they were capable of doing anything. They had jobs. They used to go out just like me, my brother. But then whenever there was a point to communicate with someone, like going for a doctor's appointment or even going for my parents teacher meeting, they would really struggle to like connect with my teachers or connect with doctors. And my brother and I would be forever interpreting for them. But if we're not available, or if we're not there, that means they miss out on the basic facility that they deserve. And I think growing up, I would see it in my family more so when I started going to school, because when I was a kid, it was very normal for me. Like, just like I would see my friends hanging out with their families or having a great time, I would see myself having fun with my family or going for hangouts and stuff. But when I started getting older and going out in the society, I remember everyone staring at us whenever I would talk to my parents in sign language. And at times they would think that I am also deaf. And, I'd hear them saying that, oh, poor thing, they're deaf, and how do they live their lives? And, how do they have kids? And like using words like bichara, yani takleef hoti hogi, things that I could hear because, I'm hearing, I'm not deaf. But then I would also think how I have never seen my parents with that angle. And Alhamdulillah, my parents have us, but then my my mom had a friend who has all deaf family members, and they couldn't just go to a doctor's appointment. They would always have to request me to go with them when I was 11. So I was interpreting since I was 11. And I remember one time when I had an exam and I couldn't go for them, and they had to miss out on their appointment because there was no one else to interpret for them. So I think I grew up seeing how different the society was, how there was a huge demarcation. And I think I reached that point one day when I was like, if no one else is doing it, if no one else is using technology to serve the deaf community or do something for the deaf community, that doesn't mean I cannot do it. I remember when I was applying for universities, when I had my IBA exams, and this was like early March or April in 2016, I couldn't study. I couldn't read the books. Throughout, I was just thinking about things I could do for the deaf community. How could I bring them back or bring them in or introduce the society to them? And I remember my mama, being deaf herself, she was like, no, first study and then you can do whatever you want. You know, it's good that you have gotten into IBA, go to the university, explore. But in my heart, this was something that was just, going on constantly. This was something that was just motivating me, making me, just ponder upon what can be done. How can Pakistan look different to the deaf society?
Right. So, I've heard that you have started ConnectHear 4 years ago, in 2017. So, when you started ConnectHear, like, when did this call it, when did you start, people seeing it as a real initiative? You think about किसी ने start किया है and this and that, and like अच्छी बात है मगर like it's not going to be real thing. So when did you start feeling कि this could be really a good thing, right?
Yeah, of course, till a very good amount of time, even my friends at university used to think that it's a project that I'm doing just because I'm interested in it. And I started in 2017, right after my freshman year. I took some entrepreneurship courses at IBA, and then I went to the Nest.io and I went with it. And I think I was doing it with studies with my third semester. Yeah, I was doing it alongside, but then afterwards I got an opportunity to go for a TV interview, and that was my first interview. And trust me, I feel really confident today, but that day I couldn't sleep all night. Like, I just couldn't. And it was such a difficult position to go and talk about my inspiration. But when I did, and the applause I got and the comments I received after delivering that interview, and then later on in our journey, we received a very humble grant from someone in Silicon Valley. And once we received that, it was like, hey, this is not something that just we three as co-founders believe in. It's something that the outer society also see potential in. And I think that's when I really realized that, or my friends realized that it's just not a project. It's an actual thing, and it's going to do big.
That's great to hear. People even outside Pakistan feel it's like, it's something that's going to revolutionize the deaf community. And,
Of course.
and so, I've heard about you, you started this social enterprise and you wanted to make it sustainable because you can't run things forever on grants and donations. So
Of
what
course.
do you think? What was your financial model when you discuss about that?
Yeah, of course. When we started, one thing that we were very sure about was that if we're doing something, we want to make it sustainable, if it's even one thing that we're doing. So we looked into different revenue models at that time, and we used to teach sign language. That was like one thing we started with. But then people started approaching us to like interpret for them. Like, on Facebook, we would make videos of like teaching sign language, and deaf people would be on our messages, or even companies would be in our messages. Okay, if you have people who know sign language, send them to us because we need an interpreter. So that sort of became a revenue stream for us as well. And today, where we stand, we have multiple different revenues that we focus upon. So being a social enterprise, the definition of a social enterprise is that you create impact. That's number one goal. And then secondly, you create revenue to reinvest into your business and make it bigger. So this is something we really focus upon. And then today we have our sign language classes. We do Zoom based online classes, and we have students from 7-8 countries at the moment. So not only Pakistanis, but Australians and people from Brazil taking Pakistani sign language classes. So that's one revenue model. We also have our own production house that I was telling you about before. So we are really, really passionate about making information and content accessible for the deaf community. So if you guys go up on YouTube, there's a Connect TV platform by the name of ConnectHear. You go in, you see regular news in sign language, entertainment in sign language, like an office tour in sign language. So all the cool videos you see on
like
BuzzFeed.
I did get to watch some of those videos.
Yes.
Yeah, you have around 800 videos uploaded.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, like you.
And the team's crazy about it. Especially during COVID, we realized the importance of it because there was just so much information and press conferences happening on TV, and we were being told when to go out, when not to go out, how to get the vaccine, how to protect ourselves from the COVID-19 virus. But none of this was available in sign language. So how do you tell the 5% of your country's population that this is going on? So, we also produce videos, which is our revenue stream. We interpret. We have recently launched our mobile application that's going to interpret for people virtually. So we have multiple revenue stream that focuses upon making ConnectHear sustainable and scalable. And that's really important.
Right. So, we talked about you being an IBA alumni.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how that experience really helped you be right here. Now.
Yeah, no, definitely. So I just graduated from IBA in December 2020. I'm actually going to pick up my degree after this interview. So it was so important that I was a part of the IBA community. And I think I thank my mom for that she pushed me to at least get into university. When I first came in, I came in as a BBA student. But when I was sitting in the orientation and they talked about the BBA Entrepreneurship program that existed then, I quickly switched towards that. I had my first 2 semesters, I had FME 1, FME 2, which is Fundamentals of Entrepreneurship with Dr. Shahid Qureshi. And then in those classes, I really got a chance to sit with my friends, my colleagues, just learn different aspects of entrepreneurship. In my second semester, when we were told to come up with a business plan, I knew this was something I wanted to do. And I made a very rough business plan about it. But when I presented, everyone was applauding and everyone was so happy. And I think that really pushed me that, this is something that has potential. That summers, I went to the Nest.io. I, came up with ConnectHear, made it a whole thing. By being an IBA student, the benefits I got was, number one, the community. My friends really helped me out throughout. My batchmates, whenever I had a project of ConnectHear and I needed volunteers, I knew where to look at. Whenever I need to market something and make it crazy, and we know how crazy IBA marketing is when there are events and stuff, I used that. I leveraged that. I used my potential of friends and colleagues I had at university to spread words about ConnectHear. Whenever I wanted to get in touch with a corporation, I tried to look into who is there from IBA and, look into those connections or talk to my seniors for help. Not only that, but, I think I also had to take a gap semester during my studies. So, I told you about that grant, right?
Yes.
So once I got the grant, I knew that this is something serious and I probably cannot manage it with studies. It was such a difficult decision to just, take a semester off, because that meant I wouldn't be able to study with my friends anymore. I have to graduate, after them and all of those thoughts. But then once again, I was able to do that. I was able to take a semester off. And when I came back from my semester off, my friends were there, my university was there to support me, support my ideas, or give me the time to, just work on it further. I was a part of some grants and competitions at IBA as well. And I think the best thing is that now once I've graduated from IBA and I have this entire journey of being a social entrepreneur, I know there's a community I can always give back to or always depend upon. So that's always a humble feeling.
Right. So let's talk, your journey. You took a gap here. You had this all, had that struggles there. So let's talk about the struggles that you faced, the difficulties that you had to go through.
Yeah.
Talk about, there's a lot of entrepreneurs right now at IBA as well watching this and thinking about, okay, I'm starting this and this and that. And you understand, okay, they don't really understand right now, okay, what difficulties they're going to face and how to, deal with those difficulties.
Of course. So number one thing that I would love to say is that if you want to do something, do it. University is the right time to do it because you have the time, you're running around on campus, maybe you can run around with the purpose of your business. So please do it. But then, of course, like you said, it's not easy. You have to compromise on so much. Like my first year at IBA, I was a part of every society. I was doing Enigma, I had my own events, stuff like here and there. And once I started ConnectHear, automatically I didn't even have time to like sit back with my friends after classes for chai and stuff. So you have to compromise a lot. You have to, really balance between your studies, between your business. I had to manage my timetable as such that if I knew Monday, Wednesday, Friday was morning classes, so evening meant office. And if it was my evening class, morning meant office. Or else I had one day dedicated towards just hanging out with my friends and, so that I don't burn out. Also that when you're at university and you're trying to do your business, you'll be studying at library for your exam, but you'll receive one call that will tell you that your project went, here and there. It didn't work out. So you'd have to decide between studying or stressing about your project or going there, being there, managing your team. And you'll have to do it. You have to sacrifice on your sleep. I used to work on the weekends. So I think 3 years at IBA, I didn't have any day off. Once I graduated, I think that's where I was like, now I can breathe. Now I have time. What else can I do? But between that, no, you can't. But then it is also that when you work during university, you have something of your own while you're exiting university. And then you have a decision to take that do you want to continue it or do you want to go towards corporate jobs? Or maybe you want to start a new venture because throughout IBA you learned so much, you made so many contacts. When you met people, you don't only say that I'm from IBA, I'm an IBA student, but you say, hey, I'm an IBA student and I'm also the CEO of ConnectHear. So that's also a great way to connect with the speakers who are coming in to IBA for sessions. I made so many contacts during my PE sessions. I made so many contacts through my teachers. I always had a business card. So whenever I met a speaker, they were like, oh, I know you felt a bit different. So now I know why you were talking so much and now you're handing me a business card. So I think it's the best way to stand out among your colleagues. It's the best way to learn. It's the best way to make the best use of your time at university, which you don't get after you're done and you have to get a job or do something of your own. But then it comes with your hurdles. You have to compromise a lot. You have to mess up with your grades at times as well, which I think is a fair trade. It's okay. And then also you have to miss out on being with your friends or making your memories, but then you learn how to balance and you learn how to be okay with it. It's a journey. You break out. I have cried outside libraries so many times, but then I always had my friends with me. So it's always bittersweet or good memories or things you remember about IBA, about the experience, which is different from others. So my recommendation to everyone who's watching this interview, if you have a business of your own, if you have an idea, make use of the spaces, make use of the auditorium at IBA, make use of the classes at IBA, make use of the CED building at IBA, go for it. Make use of your friends, make them do your marketing, make them run around for your events. Because once you graduate, you don't have that much, workforce or things to linger upon, things to depend upon.
Agreed. I completely agree with you. Compromising is one of the biggest, I guess, with any business you do, you face compromise and you have to, prioritize, your schedule in particular.
You have to, yes.
So do you, after being connect here, you're doing it for 4 years, how much do you feel कि you have made an impact? मतलब how many people have you helped, and do you still think is a huge communication gap, and how are you going to fix that?
So yeah, that's a very good question. If you talk about numbers, it has been crazy. Like we have already done 500,000 minutes of interpretation physically and online. We have made, like you said, 800 videos. Our total viewership is around 2.5 million. So the numbers have been great. The impact has been great. The number talks for itself. But over here, if I talk qualitatively, so when we started ConnectHear, nobody was providing interpretation services. Nobody was making content in sign language. But after a year, we got our first competitor in the market, right? So, we saw people feeling the importance, the need of it. We started seeing more YouTube channels coming up and making videos in sign language. Deaf people becoming bloggers and making their own videos in sign language. And then people connecting, now there are so many Facebook groups. There's Soul Sister Pakistan, Soul Bitches, like every one of these groups. Whenever you put up something about, sign language or the deaf community, they know they have to tag us, or they know they have to tag a blogger they have seen on Instagram who's deaf. So I think the awareness amongst the hearing community about the deaf people, it has increased so much, Before, I used to approach people that, hey, you have deaf employees, why don't you learn sign language for them? Now there are IBA students who come up to me and they say that, Azima, I joined this company and I saw that our clerk or our computer operator, he's deaf and none of them know sign language. Why don't you come and meet our CEO? Or why don't you come and meet the director and have a meeting with them? So I just feel that before we had to create so much awareness, we had to push people to think a certain way. We had to tell people that, hey, if you're making a video, make it interpreted in sign language. And now you hear people coming to you and saying that, Azima, I'd like to interview you and I would love if you could also have someone interpreted. Azima, we have this event going on, can you bring in an interpreter as well? So I think the awareness has been great, not only from the deaf community's part, but also the hearing community. The hearing community does not only see deaf people as someone who are just moving their hands, they know they are someone who communicate through sign language. I always tell this story to people that I was conducting this session for kids. So these are like 8 to 11 years old kids, so very, very young. And when I asked them, I was like, so do you guys know who deaf people are? Everyone raised their hands. And I'm like, so how do they communicate? And everybody yelled that, Appa, they communicate through sign language. And I'm like, these are kids and even they know about it now. So I think this is where I get the feeling that ConnectHear has truly made an impact in educating the society overall and pushing not only us, but others to do something. And that's always very important.
Yeah, that's a great thing that you've seen, that how kids, even now kids know about it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about you getting selected for the Prime Minister's initiative from the National Youth. So talk about that. Okay, how did that happen, and what's the goal for that plan?
Of course. So Kamyab Jawaan is an initiative by Prime Minister Imran Khan, and the goal is to use the youth of our country to do something for the youth of our country. So the youth have so many potential. Like I just met 7 or 8 IBA students who are making wonderful videos, right? And that didn't happen before. So I think this is the goal, to create more awareness about the youth and then giving them a platform. So this is the second batch of the National Youth Delegates in Kamyab Jawaan program. And I got selected majorly to, talk about disability rights and to talk about deaf youth. And my goal is that in the next batch, we should have a deaf youth becoming a part of the committee. So that's my goal. My goal is that whatever sessions are happening, whatever employment opportunities are being provided, all of those should be interpreted in sign language. There should be sign language interpreters for those things. If we talk about, creating sexual health awareness for people, for youngsters, for youth, that's so important in our country. SRHR is also one of the mandate of the committee. So that also being accessible for the deaf youth, the deaf community. So that's one major focus with which I have been selected to be a part of the committee among the 32 members. And then the second is obviously entrepreneurship, something I'm very, very enthusiastic about. How can the youth come up with their own ideas, bootstrap, use the resources around them, bootstrap like we did with zero money to create a platform that's creating so much impact. So these two things.
Yeah, agreed. Like, being a woman entrepreneur, I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs out there, but there's very few women entrepreneurs, especially in Pakistan. When you think about globally, there are less compared to Pakistan. There's negligible, and seeing you being so successful, doing whatever you wanted to do, and receiving all these awards and appreciations globally, locally, and I'm very, being from the same institute that we are both in, I'm very proud from you what you have achieved.
Thank you I think whenever I go, I represent being a young entrepreneur and a woman entrepreneur. There are a lot of women entrepreneurs now in Pakistan. The only thing is that, people like you, bringing them in, giving them face, giving them platform so they can talk about their initiatives, right? And like you said, making Pakistan more accessible for women entrepreneurs altogether.
Agreed. So, we talked about your experience at IBA. There was a play that you did, Ishaara, lafzon se agay. So, talk about that play, that was in 2018, right?
Yes.
So, that was pre-COVID and when IBA used to have events. So, let's talk about that, because, a lot of people right now won't even know कि IBA में events कैसे होते थे.
Of course, no. When you said tell how IBA helped, I think this event was one of the major things that really, really, made me feel happy about being a student at IBA. So, Ishaara lafzon se agay, the idea of this event was to give a stage, a platform to deaf artists, because we watch so many, dramas and films, but we never see deaf representation in Pakistan, and you'll see it abroad, you'll see it in America. So, the idea was to, give them a platform to perform, to do their plays, and then bring in people from the media to watch their performance and give them an opportunity to become a part of, Pakistani media industry. So we partnered with IIM Karachi, we had judges, we had Faiza Sheikh, Shahzad Gyas, judges from Napa to come in and give platform to these deaf artists. So we got an opportunity to collaborate with IBA once again because of IBA staff, IBA friends, people I knew at IBA. So we used the auditorium, the JS auditorium at IBA. And then it was an amazing event because, nobody knows this, but we had around 1,000 people attending that event, and we not only were making them sit in the auditorium, but also in the orientation rooms upstairs in Aman CD building. So, and Rizwan Sahab, he used to be here, and he really supported that. All the volunteers from IBA, my friends from IBA really came in, and so when the deaf people came and become a part, and they were deaf people coming in from Larkana and Interior Sindh to become a part of this this program, and around 70 deaf artists were a part of it. So when they came in, and they were so happy that they were called into a business school, an institution that's well known in Pakistan. So it was not only a theatre competition, but it was a theatre competition in IBA with partnership with IBA. So again, a really good feeling for the deaf community. Got a lot of media coverage, a lot of craze, and a lot of media channels coming in and observing the event, becoming a part of the event. IBA Societies also helped us out with it as well. I think it was IBA Community Welfare Society that partnered with us, right? So again, the event went really well. So this is what happens at IBA. If you want to make an event happen, you have a gorgeous location to do it. You have an amazing audience to make it happen. You have amazing IBA colleagues who support you from the day start to the day end, which means
Exactly.
from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. we were at IBA City making things happen. And then you have an amazing, coverage that you get out of it, an amazing buzz that happens out of it. After that event, every year, deaf people push us to do another theatre competition at IBA, at somewhere else. And we are looking forward to that. We wanted to do one in 2020, but unfortunately, due to
crisis.
COVID, like everyone says, due to COVID, we couldn't do it. But inshallah, soon. And if there's any IBA society who would like to do an event and who would like to partner with ConnectHear to do their event, more than happy to make it happen.
So, Azima, let's do the rapid fire round for.
Okay.
So let's do it. One word for each statement. ConnectHear.
My dream,
Okay. Deaf community.
my love,
Okay. Children with disabilities.
my focus.
Okay. Nest.io.
Oh, my home.
IBA today.
Oh, such an amazing place. So I would say visionary. Visionary is the word. I mean, so proud of you guys.
Okay. Let's with the end of it. So let's
Yeah.
start. Okay, what can people do to support your efforts for ConnectHear and as your community goes
Of
further?
course. So, everyone listening this today, if you are already graduated from IBA and if you're working at a company, think about how can we collaborate, how can we make your organization inclusive for the deaf, how can we work together, push your directors, push your management to make it happen. If you're a student at IBA and if you would like to volunteer, if you would like to intern or help us out at any capacity, it could be a week-long, 2 weeks project, or if you would like to, like for us to collaborate with any organization you work at, talk to us, email us, make it happen. And thirdly, if you see anything about the deaf community, anything positive happening, if you see videos of ConnectHear, work that ConnectHear is doing, just help us spread the word. Just, click the share button, click the like button, and let the world know. Let your friends, your family, your connections know that this is something that's happening and you are doing your part in creating an impact. So it's not only us sitting in our office and making it happen, it's also the people we collaborate with, people we talk to, people we meet, and you guys can make it happen.
Thank you, Azima, for sharing that. And I hope everyone can help ConnectHear. And it's an initiative from IBA.
Yes.
And I would really want Azima to be, achieve more awards and appreciations globally and locally as well.
Thank you.
And thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of our conversation
Of
for our
course.
series. And all those who are watching right now, I hope you all loved the episode. I personally, loved the episode myself. I enjoyed it myself, building the questions for it. So I hope you can love and share your comments with us as well. We could definitely share it with Azima as well. So see you next time. Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.